Hello fellow kin, and welcome back to a bonus module on service reporting. I first of all want to thank everybody for all the awesome feedback on the last module we did, which was on using Microsoft Excel for reporting. Some of the comments that we got were that people were using Google Forms and Sheets to even further engage their members to submit their own hours. I thought that was a great idea, so I created this video to show you how you can do that too. So what do you need to get started? First of all, you need a Google account. Now, Google itself is free to use for what most people use it for, which is email. Let's face it, who doesn't have a Gmail account? Well, did you know that when you sign up, you also have access to Google Drive and Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Forms too? In this module, I'm going to show you how you can use Google Forms to create an interactive form for your members to use to submit their own volunteer hours. Then we're going to capture those responses in a Google Sheet, which is like Microsoft Excel. So let's have a look at how it's done. Okay, so before we look at how to build one of those forms for service hour tracking, let's take a look at one in action. Here I have the form in front of me. It's a very simple form. It tracks the volunteer's email address, name, the project that they work on, the date that they volunteered, and the number of hours that they put in. They're all mandatory fields. We don't want the volunteer to skip over because these are basic but yet very pertinent fields that we're going to need. So email address, name, the project that they worked on, the date that they did it. I can type it all in, or I can just pick from the address picker here, or the date picker. I'll say December 22nd of last year, and a number of hours, 5 hours. So I submit that, and off I go. If I had other projects or other volunteer time I want to submit, I could submit another form, and away I go. And I could also bookmark this. I could access it via my smartphone, my tablet, my laptop, whatever I like. So it's always available to me. If I look over to, as an administrator, if I want to see how many responses I've gotten from all my members throughout the year, I just click on the administration tab, and I'll show you how to get to that a little later. But I can see the questions and the responses. So there's one response, the one that I just entered. And from here I can print off those responses. I can download them. If I want to look at them in terms of a spreadsheet, I can click on that, and that brings up Google's Sheets, which is very much like Microsoft Excel. If you're familiar, you've got to be probably familiar with one of those. You can see that it timestamps the date that the person entered it in, their email address, name, project, date they volunteered, and the hours. So now you can imagine if you're a service director in your club, you have your members submitting their hours, this sheet would be filled up, and from it now you could sort by project, you can sort by member, the date they volunteered, you can do calculations, you can create graphs, you can do a lot of really fancy things that you could use to report to your club on a regular basis. If you're more comfortable using Microsoft Excel, like I say, they're pretty much the same. Might be a slight difference in some of the functions. I can just go over here and say download as Excel. You'll notice it downloaded it for me. Now I can just say open. So now I'm in Microsoft Excel, and there's that same record that I just entered. Okay, so let's take a look at how to create one. So I'm just going to close this form, and I'll close this, and I'll get right back over here. Okay, so how do we start? First of all, as I mentioned earlier, you need a Google account. They're free. A lot of people have Gmail email addresses, and that's all you really need. Once you access it, Google makes available tools similar to Microsoft Office, like Docs, Sheets, Slides. Those would be equivalent to Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. They also have something called Forms, and Forms is all nicely integrated. How you find it, just Google Forms and click on the link and you'll get it. Then you can bookmark it like I have here. So now I just go to Google Forms, and you can see that there is the form that we were just looking at. I already created, but I'm going to start from scratch. So I'm going to say blank form, and just to be different, I'm going to call it Rick's service form, service hour form, let's say. And you'll notice it'll just keep the title for the form there. And now the first question I'm going to ask is an email. You notice as soon as I type in email, it's got a lot of intelligence built into it. it has a suggestion, enable email collection settings. So I'll say sure. And now it puts on the asterisk, which means it's mandatory field. The user can't skip over it. So now the next question I'm going to ask is the name. And I'm going to make this required as well, short answer. This is different types of fields that you can ask for, right? Paragraphs, you can leave them a whole section to fill in comments if they want, multiple choice, drop downs, checkboxes, date and time. So that's pretty cool. So let's go in and add another field here. In this case here, I'm going to say project, and we'll make that another short answer and required. And then finally the date that they volunteered. Oops. And you'll notice as soon as I put in date, it automatically assigned a date field type to it, which is kind of cool. I'll just say required as well. And then the final one I'm going to put as hours. Now it recognizes automatically that hours is typically a number type of field. So it says, is it a number? Yes, it is. So it can look to make sure you don't put any characters in there or alphabets. But in addition to being a number, I'm going to say it's got to be greater than, say, 0, right? And make this required as well. So all 4 of them are required. All right, I think that's it. So now if I want to go to responses, I don't have any responses yet, but you'll notice that the form is ready to accept responses. And if I want to actually have those responses going into a spreadsheet, I can simply say create spreadsheet or select an existing spreadsheet. So I'll create a new one. It'll automatically default the name to the name of the form. So that's perfectly fine for me. Hit create, and there we go. We're all set. We're all ready. There's a sheet that it's brought up already. And now I'll go back over here. So now how do you distribute it to your members? There's a number of different ways. First of all, if I go to send, there's a few things you could do. You could, first of all, send it to some specific email addresses, say to your club, if your club's got an email alias, or to individuals within your club, if you know of a specific group of individuals that's working on a particular project. You can even go as far as having the form embedded in the email. So people don't have to open up a form. It would be just right in the email. They can fill it out and just hit send back. You could also copy a link, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to shorten the link. I'm just going to copy this. So it automatically copied it to my clipboard, as you see there. And I'll show you how I'm going to use that in a second. And there's finally, you can embed it. So you can embed it inside, say, an existing web page. Maybe your club has got a web page. You can embed that form right within it and make it available to members that way. So now I copy that link. I'm going to just open up another tab here in my browser, and I'm going to paste that link I just created and hit enter. And there's my Rick's Service Hour form. Now, a couple of our clubs, I know that the Connect Club of Calgary, what they've done is they've actually taken that link and they've posted it inside their private Facebook page that they have for their club, and they've pinned it to the top of their posts, which I thought was a very creative idea so that maybe members don't know how to bookmark or don't know where to find things, or just find it easier just to go to their Facebook page because they're always checking for notice updates and messages, etc. So they can always go there and they know exactly where it is all the time. So I thought it was pretty creative. So here now I'm just going to test this out. So I'll put in again Rick. Project I'm going to put in here, let's say Home Lotto. And the date that I did that, we haven't done the Home Lotto in a while because it was finished quite some time ago. But let's just randomly pick November 9th. And then the hours I did for that was 6 hours. And I submit that. Again, just like you saw before, I can submit another one if I want. But if I go back to my service hours reporting form, you can see there's one response. And just like you saw me do before, if I look at the response, there's Home Lotto, November 9th, 6 hours. If I go to Sheets, there it is, exactly what I just entered. And again, if you wanted to download it and open it up in Excel, you don't have to, but if you wanted to, you can certainly do that and share it with other people that way. Okay, so that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you soon. I told you that was simple. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your service director. They can help answer all your questions. Good luck with your service hour tracking, and we'll talk again soon.